Hello, everyone, and welcome to the V Show. I am Patrick Austin, aka PA, better known as PA to most. And I want to thank everyone for watching, tuning in, viewing. We get started today. I want to thank our partners. I know that was already done on the front end, but we always got to thank the people who take care of us. That's Capital City Beverages, Visit Jackson, GNC, the Mangino Family Stores, Capital City Automotive, the MVSU NAA, nothing without the NAA, man. Muskelly Furniture, Capital City Beverages, and Vogue Home Furnishings. And so last week, we dove into a little bit of finance talk. We had Deborah McGee on from her perspective and her philanthropic work, and also working in the banking industry over 30 years. And then I went into a segment and tried to break down what fully funding athletics really. And so now we're bringing a Hall of Famer, a person who knows the plight better than anyone else that's at the university right now. A really, really solid dude, and I appreciate him for joining us today. We have Coach Lee Smith, who has seen it all from the university standpoint over the past 20 years plus. All right. And so him and I together will dive in to what it's really like, at Valley from an athletic standpoint, and how you make things work even when you can't make things work. And before we go to him, I mentioned a topic and made a statement last week that I want people to really understand. Finances are relative. And I'm going to continue to say that. Finances are relative. $5 million are being paid annually to certain members in this state at other institutions, where $5 million can transform our university. We can do it together. It takes all of us. It won't be done by one person. But our university is prime time, as people want to use a statement, for growth is now. Congrats to Coach Dancy for getting 2 in a row. And we're on the up and up, and we want to build off of that and do great things. So without further ado, we're going to bring my guy. The gentleman used to keep us in line when I was in school, and we was a little bit of knucklehead, but we had a lot of fun on the yard. But this was a gentleman that we could always run to. Coach Lee Smith, are you here, baby?
Yes, I'm here. How y'all doing tonight?
Man, we appreciate you, Coach. We appreciate your time. Thank you. I know you're busy. You always doing a whole lot. And you taking the time out to speak with us, it speaks volumes for us. And before we go too far into the conversation, I know that you've recently changed roles. Mm-hmm. And you've always been solid when it comes to the university first. Me and you often joke about, man, they end up dying. You end up passing away, and they're going to have you in a valid casket, because you didn't let family and friends and everything else go for our university, and you've been solid with that. Now, there was some rumors surrounding the program and this and that, and trust me, you have a whole lot of supporters, but there was some doubt casted. I mean, I've looked at the people you put out, whether they're surgeons, attorneys, nurses. I mean, it's just, your relationships go deep. Mm-hmm. And you're one of the last who have truly won at our university. Mm-hmm. So before we go any further, man, I know you hadn't said anything on the record, and if you choose to here, this is great. If not, we understand. We want to allow you the opportunity to address that first.
Well, first most, I appreciate everybody through my career, because so many people has touched me to make me so much better. I mean, from all aspects. You can go back to Lafayette Scribner, George Ira, Willie Titan, sitting with Larry Hardhat Dorsey, many days sitting around talking, Dr. Ayrton. The list just goes on. So I forgot, I gotta say Mr. Prophet. Can't forget about him. Mr. Prophet be mad at me. So I gotta say Mr. Prophet, that was my guy. There was 2 reasons I came to Valley, because Dr. Ayrton and Mr. Prophet at the time. And that's kind of where I got my start with Dr. Ayrton. But it's everybody's touched me, even the people that's here at the university now. Christine Bennett Williams, I working up with Bound. So those things are always making a difference with me, and it's made a difference in my program, and it's always made a difference in the player lives. Even I look back, we have support staff, managers, they all doing well. And taking on this new role has kind of changed a little bit now. I have about 25 work study students. They just work across the board, but they do so much for me, and we just try to make sure that we run athletics the best way we can with the resources. But yeah, just to kind of clear up some of the rumors, wasn't so much big about if you look at my past career, the things that took place this summer. Everybody's always going to be opinionated, but I always say this: you can't judge me if you don't know me. So that's just how I am as a person. I always will be. It's the way I was raised. The university did give me a choice to be the head time softball coach or be the head time administrator. I just decided to take the administrator. But the people need to realize a couple things too. Valley started softball in 1996. Bonita Alexander was the coach. She was doing head softball coach, assistant basketball coach up under Coach Harris. Our softball program has never, ever had a full-time coach since the existence of the program. And, not trying to stretch that in a bad way, but just saying is we never had a full-time. So when the opportunity came and I looked at everything, I just didn't do it just based on what was best for me. I did it what was based on what's best for Mississippi Valley State University softball team and the current players and the players that are coming. We had to look at making change, and that was the time. This was a great time for the program. And like I said, we need it. It's time. The sport is still growing. A lot of schools are just advancing past us, and we need to try to get back up on that market. And you can't get up on the market when you're having so many duties. Coaches spread thin. We only had one assistant coach at the time. We used to have two, and that was a big help. We had a lot of volunteers that came through our program, assistant coaches, but we had just got to the point we kind of had flattened out. And when, the opportunity came to me about, moving forward head time or moving forward to being the Associate Athletic Director of Facilities, Game Day Operations, and Event Management for the university, I said, well, hey, this is a way that both groups to move forward. And that's what I looked at. And like I said, at the end of the day, I'm still always going to be part of softball. That's never going to change. I tell people the program is left in good standing, has 9 seniors that's here now, 9 seniors, 8 juniors, 2 sophomores, 7 freshmen. Then also, as PA said, that one issue that you struggle with, I also left $15,000 in scholarship budget. So, whoever that next person is, he's ready to take off. I'm just going to be honest. Usually when people take over programs at Valley, let's just be honest. Everybody know we typically don't have the players or we at rock bottom. We get someone in here to get them going, those young ladies going to have a great year. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. They on the east side. And those 2 teams from Florida is a beast. I ain't going to even lie to you. My mentor was coaching, and she retired about 2 years ago. So, and Coach Wyden is going to bring it. She get all those kids from California like we do, but she normally figure out some time to edge me out. But of course, she in Daytona, so she supposed to edge me out. But overall, I feel comfortable where we at with the program moving forward. It's going to be some great things coming down the road. They're getting ready to do an indoor facility, and it's going to be real nice. It's going to be around about 90 by 70. It's supposed to have locker rooms for men and women. So it's great things going to come. We just got to be ready, and we got to get ready to move forward. But, the biggest thing is, that just with what took place takes place. If you look back, I'm just going to be honest. If you look back and you look at the NCAA, it's pretty much in the last from June to August, pretty much it was some type of investigation every day. That's part of athletics. I think at the end of the day, we still have to go in and evaluate our programs even before times, and I think that's important. We have to assess what we're doing here and what's best for some of the athletes that we're having that's coming here. Our athletes are not the same. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you and try to say, the athletes I had back with Crystal Home, Haley Eubanks, and the different groups, Alexandra Robertson, Nicole Burr, it's a little different. You kind of have to be able to get the right kid to come to the university. You got to be able to mold the right kid. You got to grow them. You got to get them in the weight program. So we're pushing a little bit more. So you got to get the athletes, and that's number one. But, the finance is changed too. You look at in the last 5 years, we done had more kids on academic scholarship. Don't get me wrong. Now, that's great. Don't take that in a negative way. Mm-hmm. But when you look at it, what we're trying to do, with the academic scholarships, with the athletes, it's a hard mix. So you kind of have to give a little bit, got to take a little bit, and it's just a challenge. But like I said, back then, We wasn't worried about an academic scholarship. We were going to play ball. We were going trying to get the best players in the country. That's just the way it was.
Well, you bring up two things when you say that. Recruiting at Valley has always been a little different for one, but then when you saying that your kids, and true enough, you have a head count sport, so
we're equivalent sport.
That's right. My bad. My fault. That is correct. You are equivalent sport, so you can fully fund when you have it.
Yes.
The thing is that when you take that academic scholarship, if you had a full scholarship, now you have two people enrolled instead of one.
That's correct.
And that's another thing that hits our enrollment. But then you also mentioned about recruiting as well when you mentioned the facilities. Now, baseball and softball wise, those are game changers for our
it's big.
It is, you know. And I was talking with some supporters a few days ago, and I explained to them, I said, y'all don't understand, in a sport like, well, in basketball, we're pretty good now too. Because now we have video boards and some other things, and then the facility is pretty new, right? But when it comes to our football side, which is, you know, typically most university pays the bills, I told him, I said, you do realize that Coach Dancy can only recruit inner cities or rural country areas. And they look perplexed, like, man, what is PA talking about? And I explained, I said, well, here's the deal. In the metro city of Jackson, any suburb outside of Jackson, the facilities are better than the ones that we have on our campus. Okay. Dallas has a bunch of football players, but you can't recruit any of them because of facility wise. They walk out of their weight room onto their turf field. You know, those kids would rather go to junior college or choose another university, even if we're giving them a full ride, because to them it's like a step back in time. That's
correct. And that's the challenge.
Right. And so scholarships mean something, but facilities mean a lot too. You know, what Coach Dancy is doing is amazing. I mean, it's hard for me to don't get me wrong. When you had Joe run, it was amazing. But your support and structure, just like you mentioned, was a little different at the time.
We pretty much had what we did. You know, once they figured out that we could win and we could be successful, and we was gonna bring that notoriety to the school.
Right.
It was just make sure you don't exceed the scholarship and break no IHL rules or anything like that. We pretty much had what we needed. Man, we traveled the world. We went to Hawaii and everything. We was one of the first HBCUs in softball to go to Hawaii and play. We stayed over there 7 days.
And you know what that did for your kids, man.
Oh man, they put it on a whole nother world. You know,
can you imagine if social media was out back then? I ain't talking about Black Planet, none of that. I'm talking about how it is now, where they're able to tweet that out, put it out on Facebook, Instagram, and all of that. Man, that's a recruiting tool that's out of this world, because people want to be a part of that.
Let me tell you something. Back then, we had sidekicks, so that takes you back. That's what it was. All it was saying was new message. And that's that's what we had back then. So you just imagine what we was with. But you know, when we went to Hawaii in 2006, you know, people think that the university paid for everything, but our parents were so supportive. We raised about $17,000, but this was a crazy thing. We took 24 players, and I think we wound up having like two assistants, one head, SID trainer. I mean, we took a lot of people. We wound up taking about 27, 28 people somewhere in there, and just everybody. But the crazy part about it, we had 15 sets of parents to go. So when we got to Hawaii, we was like an entourage.
And so you had a true fan section.
Yeah, we had a true fan section. We go to the games, you know, they put your games out, we go play, man. We had a whole fan. Everybody looking like, where are all those people from? You know, so, you know, but the thing about it is we was winning, but we was giving kids a great opportunity to see the world. You got to remember one thing. At that time, we didn't have nobody no further than maybe Atlanta, Georgia. And I think we had, I know we had one kid from Canada. I don't think Nicole played that year, but that's basically what we had. We didn't have a lot of the California kids, a few Texas kids, but we didn't have, everybody was pretty much from Mississippi. At that time, we always had the biggest roster from Mississippi, you know, bigger than state. We was loaded with the Mississippi kids, and we had kids from the Delta. So it was an opportunity, you know, pretty much Arkansas, Mississippi, that was it. Few Georgia, this and that was our squad, you know, from that standpoint. And we took a lot of people, but it was enjoyable though. But like I say, we did some great things. We was going to Oregon. We went to Oregon State up there for a week, played Oregon State, Washington. We did all that stuff back then. Man, we was all over the place. We even went to Orlando and stayed down there like 10 days.
Man, and those days aren't that far removed. I know it's been a while, but I mean, for you, and it's like me, my time at Valley, I still remember rolling down Fannie Lou, you know, with friends and, you know, beating out the trunk. And I mean, we enjoyed our time, man.
And you know, back then we was all pushing each other. See, one thing what we failed to realize back then, our athletes were close, but our coaching staffs were very close. We made a lot of deals, and I know I don't want to say it like this. I want to use the word. We did a lot of transactions in front of the old gym here. Let's put it like that in terms of budget. In other words, if football was through recruiting for the year and basketball needed to go recruit, hey, you go to money. I can't do nothing else with it. You know, it's nothing I could do. So we transitioned a lot. Back then, the basketball team, for whatever reason, I don't know how this got started, they bought the catcher's gear. We usually have like 2 or 3 sets of catcher's gear. They would buy the catcher's gear. And those are the things that we would do. We would sit out in front, make the transition. And, hey, if at that time we was with Russell because we had so much gear. So if somebody said, hey, I can't use the rest of my promo money, you know, here goes some more money if you need to get your girl some more socks or get some visors or whatever. That's the stuff that we did. The transition was made in front. When they got to the athletic director, I don't think Don Ray had to say at that time, hey, sign the name, we keep going. But that's how we went recruiting. That's how we traveled when money got low. We just pretty much transitioned from one group to the next, and we just made it work. I remember I think it was 2012 and 2013, we wind up, Danielle Douglas was a track coach. She needed 2 kids to come in on scholarships. I had 2 kids that didn't come back, but then I got the 2 transfers from USM. And so when she had kids that was graduating, I gave her the money for her 2 kids. When my kids got here in January, we flipped the money back. And guess what? She won a championship. I won a championship. Everybody winning.
and look, Danielle was competing with when I was there. So, you know, them my people, man. And it's those memories that it's not just, I guess you old heads now, man. I'll be 40 in a year, but
and that's the thing, you know. And when I look at when you played and we had all those people, different ones play and come through, but that's how we made it work. I mean, hey, if guy need to run Trey. Guy need to go. Hey, if I had a volleyball kid, hey, Nate need to play. I actually recruited one of the best. Nate at that time, best volleyball player he ever had. Mara Moe. He don't want to probably tell nobody that, but I'm gonna say it. She both came here and played both, you know. But that's just the way we did. You know, those are the things we did. We worked totally together. It was never about being your kid. Now, I don't think it would change. Now we take somebody like Avery Nelson. Well, he might can't run no track. That's a different story, you know.
Coach Tyler wasn't letting Avery.
You know, we
know better than that.
Get a receiver. You know, we work with that. We can roll with that.
And barely let TT do anything. Tyrone Timmons, shout out to TT.
And we had another guy one time. I can't think who it was. I think it was Julius Love. Coach Titan had, you know, they want to need a couple football players to come. Man, Julius Love went right in the gym. But those are the things you did. But the thing about it was not just a factor with the coaches. We trusted the players to make the decisions about good things, but also at the time that made those players, hey, they made them better athletes, but they made the university great because you got to remember, if he was on football scholarship, we can't put him on basketball scholarship, so he just an extra guy, automatic. And that's just the way it was at that time, you know, and that's just what we did. We continuously always helped each other and worked with each other, but when things got rough, but everybody was always trying to figure out. And between like 2010 to about 2013, they was like, man, what are y'all doing? I remember Grambling called down, was like, y'all got the lowest budget, but y'all was winning. But one thing that they didn't understand that we had the most important, we had the support of each other and the support of our players and their family. So, hey, I know people don't realize like Tyler Knight and McDonald, I ain't trying to knock nobody recruiting right here, but I gotta just say this. The 2 kids I had got from Arkansas it was 5, but it was 3 of them. It was Tammy Phillip, Jennifer Guest, and Valencia Young. So Tammy dad helped Tottenham recruit Tyler and Clayton McDonald.
Right.
And that's how those two guys, they got here because I had already got those 3 girls.
Now, you know who's going to take credit for that, though.
Yeah,
Coach Wash is going to take credit for that.
He gonna take all
his guy.
Hey, I ain't gonna knock his recruit. I consider Coach Wash in the top 5 recruiters at the Valley. So hey, he still got. But I gotta say, hey, I helped with that. I just need everybody.
Hey, and rightfully so, man. Look, we ain't too far gone with those days. I think what has kind of hit us hard and all of that once is the tuition increases. And the budget stayed the same, and so everything gets tighter and tighter and tighter. And I've been stressing that, you know, in order for us to fully fund athletics and really go get this big payday, football really helps because it has so many money games in there.
That's correct.
And so I've thrown out the idea to say, hey, since HBCUs is hot right now, why don't we go after one of the Power 5, you know, sister schools, either in state or out of state, or a school like Texas A&M, whose budget is unlimited, to say, hey, front us the money that'll give us the scholarships, and then in year 3, in year 3, 5, and 7, we won't get the big cash in for that, but the second game we will, you know, we play other people that.
That's what
I'm trying to use anything possible.
Hey, that's what Southern did with Fresno. They already got one payment in. You see what I'm saying? So they a bad idea. So they actually, to me, and they could have been doing this before, but Fresno really said, hey, we can front you. We can give you the money up front. So by the time you need to be where you need to be, you could be there. So it is an option. One thing about it, you got to pay attention to what's going on out there because it's steady moving, it's steady growing. But I agree.
If you had $500,000 to our current budget, now truthfully, I showed them the numbers last week. To really truly be funded, we need about 2.3 additional to what we have, right?
Correct.
500,000 to put us at that 90%.
Well, that'll put you where you definitely need to go.
Right. 90% 2 years in a row allow us to go be fully funded. So some of the other ideas that you have seen or throwing around in order to try to help us get there?
Well, I think we have to, you know, and I had this conversation with Dr. Newman this summer. And one of the things I think is got to be the plus side of it. Yeah, you know how to get to $500,000, how to get to the $1 million to get football, where they can hold that money for 2 years to go play that game. But I think the biggest thing we got to make sure that enrollment is where it needs to be. And the people don't realize the biggest thing about enrollment and recruiting is everybody's job.
Yes.
You know? And I mean, I don't know how the president need to increase some incentives on it, but if I had people, I'd be like, hey, y'all get some more kids in here, I'm gonna do such and such. Because I think, you know, hey, if you got one, you bring one. I mean, you got two. Maybe I can give you extra $250. I don't know, but I'm just saying, you got to get a hustle mentality to that thing.
Listen, me and you are definitely seeing eye to eye on that, because I'm gonna tell you. You got to remember, when I left the Vikings, the first thing that I saw, and this was right before COVID hit at the end of 2019, man, we show up at games, the camp is sold out. I mean, you can't even drive AMR down the street, and yet you go look in the stands, it ain't nothing but a few people. So the thing that I'm trying to figure out and wrap my mind around, and this was even including homecoming, man, we had a beautiful homecoming game. Entertainment value was there. Everything is perfect. And yet, the other side, it was half full. So I'm thinking to myself, man, with everybody still on the yard, what if we bought those Greeks and sororities inside and let them strut, hop, do whatever to get folks in there? Because I mean, I'm a common sense kind of guy. You bring the women in, the brothers gonna come. Yeah, and
the thing about it is, you know, I mean, I don't go to games outside of that, so I'm going to just put it out there. I'm 100%. Somebody asked me going to a football game without camp, I'm probably not going. Right, but I'm 100%. But one thing that I know, if you can get some fashion show going at the Valley, boy, you can pull a good crowd and you can make some things work. I know that for a fact. I've been here since 1996.
I don't care if it's a car show on the track, man. We got to get bottoms in the seats, because that's another thing that gotta be cheap. Gotta be cheap. Right, it has to be some form of entertainment value, you know, DJ, that kind of deal. And as stated before, please understand, anything that we're talking about on this show is not criticism. I want to make that disclaimer, make that known. We're just speaking about ideas and trying to generate ways to be positive, because this is not a criticism. You know, we're understaffed, we're underfunded. This is what it is. We're trying to use creative means and measures in order to close that gap.
Well, and that's why I said our students are so important. You know,
Right.
like I said, I'm not bashing here, but a
Yeah,
lot of times, man, if we don't close the gym, we might have somebody over here playing basketball, doing a basketball game or a football game. That's just the way it is, you know. And we didn't ever have it like that before because we ain't had to go close the gym. They automatic was going to come.
man.
But we have to make sure that we and I think this is where the coaches come in. Don't get me wrong, I'm gonna say the players too.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
one thing that I did, everybody, people hated to come to play at the Valley. I don't care when we was playing soccer, they hated to come. But the reason,
basketball, man, you talking about.
So,
I remember being a taunter when we used to come up there. You remember we rolled through their feet and them had a music playing in the middle of the softball game as a distraction.
Well, the thing about it is
each other.
We created that atmosphere because I ain't gonna say just me. I'm saying me in terms. I talk to people. I sit down. I ask questions. You know, usually when I see a person, first thing I'm asking, hey, what's your name? Probably ain't gonna remember your name, but remember your face. But one thing I'm gonna remember where you're from. Because one thing about it is you talk with folks and you try to have core relationships, and I think that's so important to our coaches. They have to understand if we're gonna build that culture and have that extra man in the stands, like the other day with Texas A&M, we're gonna have that extra man in the stands. You gotta be able to build that culture, and it has to go not just through Coach Dancer, it has to go through everybody. It go all the way down to the trainer. You know, and I tell everybody, you know, when a lot of times we get new trainers, I'd be like, well, hey, you have to go meet certain people, you're going to have to go talk to certain people. But they don't get it because they don't understand where your support going to come from.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You're going to have people that's going to support you. But we as coaches, administrators, even the students, we all got to have support. But I think those coaches got to do a great job of that. And that's what I did when I was there. Man, if a kid came to me and said, hey, she was from Little Rock. Oh, I used to have players from Little Rock. Next thing you know, I got the stands. It's full. You know what I'm saying? People used to hate to come. And be honest with you, they used to hate to see Willie Titan come because he was going to pull a golf cart right up to the fence. They still talk about that to the day. I have a friend of mine. He's called games all the way up to the SEC. His name David Irving. He's from Vicksburg. He live in Madison. He's called all the way up to the World Series. He say, if you ever want a coach, umpire to get ready for the World Series, go do a game at Valley. He said, because they standing on top of you. And that's what we had to create. We had to create that. And I think that comes from the coaches. I mean, and the players like I was talking to Jameson Lindsay the other day from Gulfport. And he was talking about how they was getting better. Because I always mess with, I challenge a lot of them. I said, you play this weekend? Yeah. I said, did you contribute to the team? I just, yeah, coach, I'm playing. But one thing he did say, he said, we're a better team. They got better athletes, without a doubt. I'm going to say this here. I'm going to go on record. They got better athletes walking around in clothes. When you look good in clothes and shorts, you're a better athlete. We better athletes. But like I said, I think the other thing, PA, you mentioned that I think we gotta find a way to dial into is the transfer students. I said that 2 years ago in 2020 when we had the pandemic hit. And I knew right then, I say, if we can get a better understanding how to get kids transferred into this university and get them, I don't want to use the word, it's a hustle. What I mean is we got to beat the person out and say, hey, you come to Valley, you're going to be able to transfer. Boom, 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 boom. Once that guy or that young lady understand that and their parents believe in you, they're going to say, hey, the other coach didn't come here and talk about academics. He just talked about how good you were. This coach can't talk about that he going to graduate you and how good you going to be. So I think we got to we got to control the market. Right now, the teams are over flooded throughout the whole Division I level.
Right. Absolutely.
It's flooded.
They can't play. I mean, I've watched so many kids in state. I'm talking about Dandy Dozen go out of state to another school. And what they don't understand, the dynamic is at that level is if you got a kid that's, let's just use a linebacker, for example, and y'all had the same grade and you from Mississippi and the other kid is from Alabama and y'all come out of the spring with 88.6 as your grade, the kid from Alabama gonna touch the field first because that coach has to go back into that high school.
That's right.
They're pulling you from over here from depth, and like you said, it's so deep, and part of it is the amenities, but at the same time, and you're right, people want to play now because video. it's gonna get out, and believe it or not, at the NFL level, it's their job to find you.
Yeah, and the thing about it is, George Harris said this about 6 months ago. He said, "There's, that about the diamond in the rough thing. That was 15, 20 years ago. We got video now. We got parents doing video. We got the neighbor person in the yard probably doing the video. In other words, we getting uploads. Ain't no, you might slide a guy in every now and then. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
But for the foremost, man, kids got videos there since they were 10 years old now. So the thing about it is the market is there because of the school, with the pandemic, with the kids having to stay extra. I'm not saying fall in your lap because you still got to work and, you still got to do certain things. But I just think this is just an opportunity for us. But we have to make sure on all levels that we can make it work and put the kid in the best thing. When I would work with transfer students, first thing I want to know, let me get that transcript. Let me see what's going on so I can be able to talk to mom and dad and tell them how quick I can get you out of here and let you play it and get you to play at the same time. Because most parents, at the end of the day, one thing back in, I'm going to just say the early 80s or the 90s, it was all about going to college. Now it's about, hey, graduating from college.
College is on your laptop.
Yeah, it's automatic, and I always try to use this thing. Everybody's selling the same. Everybody's selling a degree now. So we got to get past that. But like I say, I think, I looked at, Coach Dan's team I watched over the last 2 years, but his transfers are awesome. I mean,
they're making an impact too.
Yeah, when you look from the junior college or are they from a 4-year school, and we got to do a better job. One thing about it, everybody might not know this. I went to the greatest junior college in the land. That's Mississippi Gulf Coast Community College. That's where I was born and raised. I played football there. I played my high school games. I'm from Wiggins, Mississippi. But if you can start getting to that junior college rank in the state of Mississippi, if you can break down any doors, or you can go sign any kid from East Mississippi, Gulf Coast, Northwest, and you can get that done, man, you done broke down some barriers. Those don't happen every day. So those are the things that we got to continue to keep doing. I mean, and I'm not just saying football. That's the issue. In softball, that's what we were struggling at. Man, we could never get our hands on the junior college kids we was getting on the front end. The last 5 years, we could never break the barrier because one of the issues, we didn't have the scholarship that they got at the junior college level. They was used to getting a full ride. And here we come, we might tap in at the, half, maybe. You know what I'm saying? Every now and then might be able to push the, maybe get up to 9 or 10, but we could never give a junior college kid a full ride. If we did, we might have lost 3 scholarships just like that. It was always one of those things. When we got to junior college, we could never get the number 1. We could pick at the number 2, but we was gonna get the 3. But who was already to us was, hey, that's a freshman. You know what I'm saying? That's a freshman. So, but those are the things that we have to look at. We the junior college, but like you said, in order to match that, you can't go in with a low percentage. Because we overpay a lot of times when we do get kids. Sometimes we overpay, but we have to overpay because we just don't have. Sometimes we don't have the resources. The resources can hurt you both ways. You can wind up overpaying or underpaying, but in our case, we typically overpay a lot.
Well, Coach, look, I appreciate your time. We're gonna wrap this thing up, but before we go, you've done many years and done wonderful things for our alma mater, man, and I'm thankful to you. I'm not the only person. There's a bunch of families, adults that are out here now that are having kids and sending them to you. And so, man, I appreciate you from just a totality standpoint, even my time there and making sure that we were doing the right things. The one question that I have before I let you go, man, your legacy, if you were able to tell your testament now to the people listening or watching, what would you want your legacy to be at our alma mater, MVSU?
Well, first thing, I wanted to be, hey, he lived for service, without a doubt. I'm 100% on that. And one thing that I do know, and one thing that I always tell people, it's different from being dedicated and donated. I donated my life to Mississippi Valley without a doubt. I've been here for 25 years and wouldn't change it for nothing in the world. If I had to go back from the day that my mama told me to go back one more semester, I wouldn't change that for nothing. And so I've been here. It's been great. My players, my managers, support staff, assistant coaches, administrators, man, it's been great. I wouldn't change it. It's been some troubled times down the last 4 or 5 years, but overall, I have enjoyed it. You know what I'm saying? You look at one point in time, I think we played for 12 straight championships in a row or something like that. And man, just to see some of our players, how they doing so well now, and you know, but they wasn't just great athletes. They some tough individuals.
Yeah. And look, and they did their schoolwork. And
without a doubt,
that right there is enough, Coach. You said enough. You said it, all of it in a nutshell, man. That's one of the reasons that we need our athletic department fully funded. Thank you for your time, Coach.
Thank y'all too. And y'all appreciate everything. Y'all keep supporting us out there.
Man, we appreciate you, brother. Thank you again.
Okay, take care, brother.
We'll see you. All right. Man, Coach Smith, great guy. Seen it all, you know, at Valley in the past 25 years, as he said. And so we're going to thank him again, Coach. Stand up. And that's our plea again. You know, you just heard it from somebody who's been there, been a part of it, multiple administrations, multiple presidents. Valley is a great place to be. Valley has turned out some wonderful products. We need some assistance. We need some help. Be that catalyst for change. Open your mouth. Tell others. We need the support. We're close and we're going to get there, but we need it. For more information, visit www.mvsu.com. Follow us on Twitter, and I hate saying that, but they make us do it, man. Follow us on Twitter. I think we're on Instagram. I know we're on Facebook, YouTube, because in the end, those end up being resources as well. Funding resources, the number of followers, we need them. We can start doing ads and branding. Thank you again to our supporters and partners, Muskelly Furniture, Capital City Automotive, Visit Jackson, MVSU NAA, GNC Mangino Stores, and Vogue Furnishings. And until next week, much love. Be the catalyst for change.